Three, two, one. Welcome to Jim's Take, episode 146. I'm Jim Frawley. I'm your host yet again. And this time we're going to talk about leisure. The need for leisure. Not relaxing necessarily, not just going off and taking a day off. We're not talking about this crazy luxury of going on these big vacations and doing all kinds of stuff and shirking your duties and all of that. I do want to talk about this idea of leisure and how it's becoming more and more necessary, I would argue, in our day-to-day lives. And this is a fine little balance that I'm going to be trying to dance as I go along this. Because I'm not looking to put more things on your to-do list. But we're going to talk about leisure. And so I feel like most people have forgotten how to embrace leisure or how to relax or how to do it. We've been trained so much to hustle, to optimize, to stay productive, that the ability to truly relax and disappear for a little while has fallen by the wayside. And so, and I recognize that it might be a little wild to be talking about leisure at a time like this, right? The world is collapsing, all kinds of stuff, losing my job to AI, and how can I possibly even think about these things? I'm not talking about anything major. This isn't like this crazy luxury that I'm talking about where you go hang out in St. Bart's for a week and, then you come back recharged and you can go back to work. I'm not talking about leisure as luxury. I'm talking about leisure as this lost skill of a way that we could check out on a day-to-day basis to completely recharge and reset. Because we need that mentally and socially and emotionally. Like we need it in so many different ways. And so I'm not talking about these vacations or spa days or anything, but more of a life-sustaining need on a day-to-day basis. And so what I want to talk about today, I want to tell you like my definition of leisure and what I mean by leisure, and I'm going to get into that, why we can't really relax and enjoy it, and then maybe some strategies and stuff. We're going to attack the wellness industry a little bit today, which I love doing. I love attacking the wellness industry. So what is leisure? Leisure, I'll say this. There is a difference between something that looks relaxing and something that is relaxing. Okay? So we need to pause and recognize that, right? A lot of the time we think we're being, leisure-like. A lot of times we think we're relaxing. It's more of like this performative kind of relaxing where you're not actually getting the recharge that you actually need. And so leisure, if I were to ask you to define it, most people would probably say, oh, it's free time, right? Oh, I need some free time for my, to check out and do whatever. And that's a good start, but it's not deep enough, right? Free time can be filled with a lot of bullshit. And I would argue you have to go further than just what is free time, right? I would say leisure it's a mental state. It's a rhythm. It's a mindset. It's not just distracting yourself and scrolling through an app and watching something on Netflix and doing things. It's a form of presence, not escape. Okay, in this weird kind of way, we're not talking about inactivity. Leisure is not just inactivity. Leisure, in this weird kind of way, is disengaging with intention. It takes intentionality, and I would almost say it's like this unapologetic act of being useless for a little while. And the way I like to really define it is just this complete checkout where you lose track of time. That's probably the most simple way to put it. Leisure is a complete checking out where you lose track of time. And when we think about, I'll give you some examples of what I do in a minute, but if you were to think about what you do, and I ask this a lot with corporate clients or when I'm speaking, is when was the last time you did something, or what do you like to do, where you just completely lose track of time? And many people look at me with a blank stare. They're like, what the hell are you talking? I got kids, I got bills, I got, stuff to do around the house. I've got work, I've got all these different types of things. So we don't really allow ourselves this time to just check out and lose track of time. And now, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or not, my morning time, which used to be filled with a lot of running and writing and doing all stuff, is more of like, I'm just taking 30 minutes to just do nothing. And it's changing my days a little bit in a really, really good way. So, and so I would ask you before I go on, and something for you to reflect on is what do you consider leisure? And it's not something that looks good on a self-care checklist. right? I used to have these lists where, you got to take the cold shower or the ice bath. You got to do your 10-minute meditation. You have to do this thing. You have to, and I've got this agenda attached to my leisure, my free time, my wellness. And when there is an agenda attached to something, it's no longer leisure, right? Our downtime can't have deliverables. By definition, it's not downtime then. And so how do we, let's talk about how we've forgotten how to relax in the sense that, our culture is so addicted. We have this cultural addiction to productivity, right? It's the hustle culture. How many people want a side gig? How many people want this? If you're not busy, you're lazy. If it doesn't lead somewhere, then we've wasted our time. And so we're addicted to just output. We're addicted to just doing things. And we also feel guilty doing nothing. We feel guilty because we feel like we're supposed to be doing anything. And the wellness industry has co-opted this and they've jumped on it. Our rest time is scheduled and optimized. It's become another job. And that's not relaxing. It's what we're supposed to do. But it's been, I would almost like we took hustle culture and put yoga pants on it. And we call it self-care with the meditation apps, the sleep trackers, the curated self-care routines, I don't know, any of that stuff. It seems like leisure, but there's an agenda attached to it. They have outcomes. And they're always tied to becoming a more efficient worker, or I need to be a better version of myself, or all of this stuff. And leisure used to be about just being present, doing a puzzle, right? Or drawing, painting, doing whatever. Now we ask, well, did I do it? Going for a run. Did I do it right? Is it on my smartwatch? Right? What was my heart rate? How did I go? Is my heart rate getting better? Is my run getting better? What's my VO2 max? I'm in Ironman training mode, right? What's my power output on the bike? What's all that, right? So now we've optimized and we're taking away the fun of just going for a bike ride or a run. The lifestyle branding thing, right? We all have to tell people how well we're relaxing. You could take a bath with candlelight and just relax, but if you're doing it so you can take a picture for Instagram so you can get engagement, it's no longer relaxing, right? You've attached something to it. It has an agenda, so it's not relaxing. And then we feel guilty, right? People feel bad for doing nothing. We're supposed to be doing stuff. My to-do list is through the roof. And so I feel guilty when I take 20, 30 minutes for myself when I could have done something else. And so in this feeling guilty, we disguise our rest as something productive to make it more socially acceptable. Right? Oh, I'm not reading a book. I'm just working on my personal development. Or, oh, I'm not, doing this. I'm not going for a run. It's improving my cognitive ability so I can think better. Right? And so not all relaxation is leisure. Like we have to define these different types of words. Like, yeah, some things may be relaxing, but it's not leisure because there's an agenda. It's just productivity in disguise. And it's not rest if you're tracking it. If your downtime is coming with a deliverable, then it's not downtime. It's just not. It's it. So what's real leisure? Like, how do you get it? It's, when was the last time you stared out a window and did nothing? There was a while ago, I had one of my early podcasts. It was a friend of my sister's. Her name was Trish. And it was like 10 minutes of silence or 8 minutes of silence, 5 minutes of silence. And it was basically how powerful that could be for you. And it wasn't under this idea of leisure. It was more of a meditative type of thing to say, what do you think of and how do you get some time to yourself and do that? But something like that. Like, when was the last time you just stared out the window for no reason? I like just sitting on a park bench, do the people watching, come up with the stories. Or something I do with my kids is I love to play the imagination game of how many people were involved for all of us to be together today in this moment. Right? How many people designed the camera on my computer, designed my computer desk, my office, the house was built, right? All of our ancestors that happened to meet and the odds of that getting together and all of those types of things. Like all of these people, if you're listening through your phone, who designed the phone, who put it together, who did this, who did that. And it's a fun way to just kind of check out and just imagine and what were their lives like and do that. Browsing a bookstore without buying anything, just thinking about stories. was the last time you just doodled for fun and didn't post it to Instagram? Like I'm so anti-social. The big thing I just did the other day, I listened to an album from beginning to end. Because back in the 80s, 90s, music, 70s, of course, music, they made albums for you young people. And it was like this full arc of good music. And so you listen to just, the not just the hits, but the whole tracks. I listened to Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy. And it was like I forgot that I had done it, and I started dusting off old ones. I listened to Pink Floyd. I listened to Arrested Development. I dusted off some old Wu-Tang. Like I was going in and just listening to the full album, and it was such a pleasurable kind of experience. But when was the last time you did something that didn't lead to anything? No agenda attached. No obligation to do something. It doesn't need to be shared. It doesn't need to be tracked. It doesn't need to be explained. You don't have to justify it. Right? I mean, when was the last time you just did something that didn't need to be justified? And you just owned it? In, a culture that's so obsessed with output and productivity, doing nothing is a radical act. It's pretty wild that doing nothing is such a radical act. So what happens if we don't check out day to day, right? We get the burnout. These emotional challenges. We've got the cognitive challenges, societal challenges. Emotionally, we burn out. It becomes chronic, which I'm seeing way more than I used to, right? The stress coming from so many different ways where people are just constantly burned out, which leads to irritability, a loss of curiosity. They're going through motions. They hate what they're doing. They don't know how to get out of their funk. And you could feel it, like when people can't shut off, they don't just burn out; they just completely shut down. And I'm seeing people shut down, and I felt myself over the last few weeks starting to shut down. And I mean, that's kind of what got me onto this leisure topic, where I was just being hit in so many different ways. I was shutting down, and cognitively, like our creativity dries up. I haven't been able to write the book that I've been promising everybody for like a year and a half. But we're making slower decisions. We're stuck in this kind of purgatory of this inability to make decisions and move forward. So then we feel stuck because we can't progress. But we're feeling burned out because we're stuck. And then societally, everyone's got an edge. This edge gets sharp, man. It's polarizing, and we're seeing that in the politics, man. It's crazy, massive overreactions. On both sides, but it's overreactions to just little tiny things, right? There's no ability to talk about your valid ideas in a way that's not so emotionally charged. And so what do we do, right? I mean, I'll challenge you to think about leisure and reflect on it and adopt something on a day to day. I don't want to give you something for your to-do list, because then it's like, oh, I got to check this box and I got to be full of leisure. But I think, how do you take the agenda out of anything? And I go back to a few. This has been creeping into a lot of my stuff, right? Networking. I had to figure out, what can I do to enjoy it? Like, no agenda attached to networking. Just go in and enjoy the company of people. How do I go for a walk in the woods? Not with a set route or a set distance or a set time. Just go for as long as I wish to enjoy myself. Reading a book. I'm reading books now that aren't on. I'm reading the 1,001 books to read before you die. So that's not really, some of them are great, some of them are not. But now I'm reading things and I'm like, because I have to. So I took that out, and now I'm reading, different books, and it's fun. And I'm reading books that I actually want to read, and you got to intersperse them in, and so. So I would encourage you to think about where are you losing your time? Where can you lose your time? Right? Don't optimize it. Embrace it. It's not about being lazy. It's about being human. And I'm doing this philosophy class online. It's a professor, and he's a good guy, and he does his own kind of philosophy thing. And he's talking about immortality this time, and we talk a lot about the meaning of life, and I'm coming around more and more to this idea that the meaning of life is to give life meaning, because life really doesn't mean anything by itself. we have to give it meaning from our perspective and our experiences and our leisure, right? The things that we embrace, right? It's not about getting the TPS reports done. It's not about getting all the stuff and making sure this is it. You'll find that when you can appropriately appreciate and embrace leisure, your ability to get other things done just becomes much more simple because you're cathartically at rest, right? It's such a nice way to approach things with just a clear mind and less stress. And so leisure, a couple final thoughts on it. Like leisure is not, it's not an absence of effort. It's an absence of expectation. And when we could take the expectations out, just to kind of recap everything, right? Take the expectations out, take the agenda out. If your rest needs a reason, then it's not rest. It's just disguised ambition. And relaxing isn't a reward. It's a right? You should be doing this. It's something you deserve. It's part of the human experience. And what if, we'll end with a philosophical question. What if doing nothing was the most human thing you could do today? Just do nothing. I recognize that the world may not appreciate that for what you do, but take your time for yourself. Okay. I would say 15 minutes, do nothing. Find it, right? I'm not saying completely check out and disappear and shirk your responsibilities, but leisure, right? Embrace it. Check out, lose track of time for a little bit, and enjoy it, right? We've got to find these little simple things that we can enjoy. It's what makes life great. Yeah. Have a wonderful week. Practice your leisure. I'll be back soon with another topic as I think up something. We'll see what it is. And I will talk to everyone soon. Thanks.